In 2023, more than 1,600 lives were touched by this crisis. And this year, in January to June, we are nearing 1,000. But numbers can't show you the pain of a mother who's lost her son, or the look in the young girl's eyes when she realizes she's trapped. This isn't about statistics. This is about our people. And it's happening in our homes, in our streets, in our schools. What most of us don't realize is that the drugs themselves, they are only half the problem. There's a silence that's killing more of us than we dare to admit. Silence in the face of addiction. Silence when HIV spreads through needles and whispered secrets. Silence when street kids overdose. Their lives are reduced to a forgotten headline. But this silence is not innocent. It's dangerous and it's everywhere. It's not just marijuana or meth. It's the dark side of injectable drugs, Bluetoothing and chemsex. The kind of chains that don't just bind our youth, but bury them. They say we've lost 8 kids in 2 months. But these aren't just kids, they are lives. They were someone's everything. Now they are gone. And we are left with silence. What does it take for us to wake up? How many more funerals before we realize that we are at war? A war we never chose, but one we cannot ignore. Drugs don't care who you are. They don't care where you come from. Athletes, students, parents, the very people we look up to are falling. And we are still silent. But this isn't where the story ends. Not if we decide to fight back. Not if we decide that silence is no longer an option. This is more than a crisis. This is a battle of our future. And we can win it for our children, for our homes, for Fiji. Will you stay silent or will you fight back? Join us as we have a talanoa about the 3 brave individuals that shared their stories to Fiji. Welcome to Mbulatali. Today we are bringing you a story that too many avoid, yet it affects countless lives in Fiji. So stay with us until the end, because what you'll hear today could shift how we understand and respond to the following issue. But before that, we want to start with a scripture. I don't know what you believe about the Bible, but in John chapter 16 verse 33, it says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In the world you will find tribulation. But take heart, I have conquered the world. This verse reminds us that despite the challenges and struggles we see around us, Jesus is the peace that we need. And not only that, but He has already overcome the world's troubles, including addiction and darkness. And we believe that there is a way out of any struggle, no matter how deep it is. And it starts with having a relationship with Jesus. And this is what we have heard. Those who were struggling to come out of addiction, that through the power of prayer, God rescued them. Now, I would just like to share with you, there were a few stories. There were 3 individuals who was interviewed by Vijay Narayan from Fiji Village, and I salute these 3 individuals. Their pseudonames was Cindy, Chloe, and Marco. Firsthand, how drugs have torn lives apart in ways most of us can't imagine. They've lived it, fought through it, and they were sharing these truths to help protect others from failing into some cycle. We listened to them, and today we're bringing their voices to you, not to scare you, but to open our eyes as a community and to show the steps each of us can take to make a real difference. Cindy, Chloe, and Marco's stories are warnings, but they are also guides pointing us toward a path of hope and resilience. This shocking reality is that drug use starts early for these 3 individuals, and it's happening can imagine this. At an early ages of 12 years old, 15 years old, and 17 years old. These were ages when these individuals were first exposed to drugs. First drug was marijuana and sometimes glue sniffing, methamphetamine, which we all know it's ice. We see the progression to harder drug once they start, and it was used to escape pain or cope with stress. And imagine this, these three individuals were trying to find rest. They were trying to resort themselves in these substances. Chloe, imagine this, Chloe, she is a 40-year-old mother, a single mother, says that she has seen a young boy or a young girl as 9 years old using drugs, exposed to these substances, and that's year 4 in primary school. And imagine that. I'll ask myself, where was I when I was in a year 4 primary school? Imagine it, if it was your time. It also shows how early experimentation with less powerful substances can lead to a pathway of addiction and dependence on harder drugs. Once individuals are introduced to drugs, their usage tends to escalate to another level as a way to cope with pain and escape their struggles. So like I've mentioned earlier, they were trying to resort or take their pain to the substances. Now that, and the youths who are meant to be focusing on education, not anything else, as 9 years old, using it, that points to a significant problem that not just among individuals, but within communities, families, and schools, where children are being exposed to harmful substances or harmful behaviors and building their futures, are instead battling addiction, which can ruin their lives before they even have a chance to fully begin. This is what our silence has cost us. Now, I would like to share with you the role of a family, protecting our children. There is nothing more precious in this world than love that we give to our children. And there's nothing more heartbreaking than realizing we didn't give them not enough quality time, not enough attention, not enough protection. When they come from school, we don't spend time with them. There's less time. We think we are busy, caught up in life, working, hustling, trying to build something for our family. But remember, these kids, they need attention. You and I as parents, they need our attention. But what's it all worth? In the end, we lose them. Every day, our children are fighting battles we don't even know about. As parents, they are facing pressures, temptations, mostly in schools, their friends, peers, you name it, struggles. And often, and when they turn to drugs, it's not because they wanted to, it's because no one was there to listen. When they were crying out for help, no one listens to them. Chloe, I would like to share with you about this individual. She's a single mother of 2. I have mentioned this earlier. She's seen it. Kids, 9 years old. That's year 4. Now, I will ask you that question. Where were you when you were in that year? Where were you? What were you doing when you were at 9 years old? Think about that for a second. What about now? How often do we stop and ask our children how their day really was? What they are feeling? Because the truth is not just happening in the streets, in the shadows. It's happening right under our noses, in our schools, in our homes. We can't be there every second or every day. But when we are there, are we really there? Showing up as parents, showing up as guardians, as protectors. Our children need us. Police has done their job. The government has done their job. What are you doing about it? Our children need us to be present, to listen, to be aware of their struggles. Because every conversation, every moment, every time that we sit down and look them in their eyes, it could be the moment that keeps them from choosing this life, this other path they'll return from. Love isn't just feeling, love is action. It's protecting, and we don't fight for them. Who will? And Cindy said, and I quote, I never really get to be a child growing up. It's so sad. You and I, some of you who are listening to this conversation, you have a life back then. When you were growing up, I had a life. Look at this individual. I will repeat that again. This is what this person said. I never really get to be a child growing up. It's easy to turn a blind eye, to pretend that the problem is far away, happening in some other neighborhood, some other school. But let me tell you the truth. Drugs are closer than you think. And they are not just creeping into the streets. They are walking right into our schools, our homes, and even our prisons. Drugs don't discriminate. They don't care about your location or your status. They are accessible anywhere, anytime, any place. And we've seen it happen. You've seen it happen. Seen this story. Drugs being smuggled into prison through extreme means. If they can get into more secure places as prisons, what does that say about how easily they can reach our children? Big question we have to ask ourselves. Our schools and our families. Right now, kids as young as 12, 13, or maybe 14 or 15, you name it, 16 years old, are being pulled into vicious cycle. And once it starts, it grows. The user becomes a peddler. A peddler creates new users. The addiction spreads like wildfire. Until kids who should be playing sport or studying for exam are risking their futures, doing whatever it takes just to feed their addiction. And we let it happen. You and I, we let it happen. Look around, your neighbors. How many of us are actually paying attention? How many of us are stepping in before it's too late? We have to break this cycle. Their accessibility may be easy, like Cindy, Chloe, and Marco. These three individuals said it's easy to get any type of drugs anywhere. And imagine our kids. But our silence is what allowing it to thrive. I was 14 years old when my parents separated. They were divorced. My whole world felt like it was falling apart. But through it all, my dad was my hero. He was a boxer. I remember how proud he was. The way his eyes would light up when he showed the first punch, or how to throw a punch, how to stand tall. It was more than just boxing. It was his way of showing me the strength, resilience, how to fight for something when life tries to knock you down. I wanted to be just like him. And when I lost him at 19, I could not complete my exam. I was sitting for my FSLs because the news came that he was admitted into the hospital. I could not go further to do my exams. I was so heartbroken. When I was 19 years old, he relieved me. It broke my heart. I feel so sad. Now I'm feeling very emotional. But what kept me going were the lessons he left behind. Every time I think of him, I think of those moments. My hero, teaching me how to stand strong. Imagine if instead of teaching me how to fight, my dad had handed me a drug. Imagine if instead showing me how to protect myself, he showed me how to numb my pain. This is what's happening in homes today. Children, wide-eyed and innocent, looking up to their parents, their heroes, only to be handed their first drug. What kind of lesson is that? What kind of future are we giving them? Chloe, on the other hand, saw it. Parents using drugs in front of them, in front of their children, in front of the kids. No wonder they are exposed to that easily. And worse, using these substances with their children. They are not just using it. They are teaching their children their addiction is normal. And that's the cycle. That's how it starts. One generation after another, bound to the same chain, the same heartbreak, because that's all they've ever known is do drugs. But it all doesn't have to be this way. When my dad taught me how to box, he was showing me that life might hit hard, but I have to hit harder. He gave me the tools to survive. He gave me hope. What are we giving our children? We have to ask ourselves, what are we giving our children? Are they going to look back and see the strength? Or they are going to see addiction? Are we handing them the tools to fight for their future? Or are we handing them the way things that are going to destroy it? Every hit, every high, every moment, we choose drugs over them. We are not just hurting ourselves. We are teaching the children, them to follow our footsteps. We can stop this. You can stop it. I can stop it. We can be the hero again. We can be one who breaks the silence. It's not too late. Look at your child. Now, if you are watching this, just look at your child lying down there. They need you more than you need them. They need you to teach them how to live, how to survive, how to fight in this world. And they are watching every single day. These kids are watching us. So what are you going to show them? What are we going to show them? Because the legacy we leave behind isn't in our words, it's in our actions. Actions speak louder than words, yes. And today we have the power to change everything. Now here's what we've learned. Drugs don't just destroy bodies. They destroy souls. They take people we love and turn them into someone else. Someone cold, heartless, violent. Now Chloe said, it makes you not respect anyone or anybody. Now that's very dangerous. Coming to that point, you don't feel anything at all. What does that mean? It means the addiction doesn't just affect you, it changes you. It takes over you, it takes over your mind, your heart, your actions. You don't care about anything. When you take this thing, consume it. Not even the people you love. Because the drugs control everything, my dear friend. If you don't know this, today you should know this. If you are one of them, you are listening, these drugs are controlling you. That's why sometimes you might be wondering, I am not myself. And when you can't get your next hit, that's when violence comes. You fight. You hurt people closest to you. And all because the drugs are in control. Not you are in control. The drugs are controlling you. My friend, this is what we've learned. The longer you stay in the cycle of drugs, the more you lose yourself. Look around you. Right now, someone, somewhere is struggling. A battle they didn't ask for, but fell into. Maybe it was a way to escape. Maybe it was a way to feel something when everything else felt like it was falling apart. But here's the truth. Drugs don't solve problems, or don't solve your problem, or don't solve my problem. They only hide them. That's the truth. They are a temporary escape, a band-aid over a wound that needs real healing. Now, I will quote what one of these individuals, Chloe, mentioned. If you are taking drugs now, my advice to you is please just stop. Just say no to drugs. Do something better with your life. It will affect you, your body, your friends, your life. There are other solutions to your problems than drugs. Chloe's words are not just hers. Across Fiji, the same story, the same networks are pulling in thousands, offering a false escape. There is a false escape going into drugs that comes at a deadly cost. But here's what we need to understand. Addiction isn't about weakness. It's about pain. Behind every addict is a person who's hurting, a person who wants to change, but feels trapped. And what they need is us. They need safe spaces, free from judgment. They need communities to come together. Don't be judgmental. Families, religious groups, and friends, because no one fights addiction alone. It's time we step up. It's time to stop judging and start supporting. And remember, this isn't about blaming anyone. It's about stepping up. Taking small, simple actions that together could mean the difference between life and death. The story of Cindy, Chloe, and Marco have shared is not just a story. It's a plea from people who've lived through the darkest moments and come back to tell us what we should do, or what we can do, what you can do, or what I can do. Parents, this is a wake-up call. We need to take a proactive role. Parents, guardians, teachers, start a conversation. Don't wait until they are older. Sit down with your children. Spend quality time with them, even in primary school, and tell them the truth. Don't hide the truth. Tell them about the dangers they may face, about peer pressures. Make them feel safe to share their thoughts, their worries. Make them know that they'll always have to turn to you. And being present, really present, could change everything. Take time, even when you are tired, even when life pulls you in every direction. Know who your children's friends are. Notice the small changes, the quiet moments, the sudden silence of our children. Every time you show up, you are building a shield around them. Let them feel that they are worth every second you give. We are stronger together. Find a local support group or start one. Talk about what we are all facing. Let our communities become places of safety where we don't turn a blind eye, but instead open our arms. Because it takes a village to protect each side, each family, and the village starts with us. Spend time together, not just in passing, but in moments where your children feel valued, seen, and safe. Make family dinners sacred. Take time to talk, to listen, to laugh. Give them memories of strength and love. Share stories with them that will help them say no. When the pressure mounts, be their foundation, their safe haven. Our schools must become places where children feel protected, where they know they can talk to someone without judgment. Support schools in building awareness programs. Teachers, counselors, you are the first line of defense. Let's create a space where no child feels they have to face this alone. Pain is real, but there are ways to handle it. Teach them to turn to sports. Teach them to turn to sports or art, to friends. Let them know that they can lean on us, on each other. Show them that there's beauty in facing life head on, with the strength that comes from within and from those around them. If they are struggling, don't let shame keep them in the shadows. Encourage them to know that they are not alone. Every life saved from addiction is a story of hope, a story of second chance. Show them that redemption is real and that there is always a path back. Know this: silence feeds this crisis. Every unspoken word, every avoided conversation, it gives power to the shadows. Now these three individuals, Cindy, Chloe, and Marco, they shared their lives, their pain, to give us a way out. Don't keep their stories hidden. Share them with your families, your friends. Show our children what others have been through, so they know they don't have to walk the same path. The power to change this story lies with us. Its actions, its conversation, every moment we choose to fight for our families, it all matters. Let's not wait until it's too late. Let's be the voices of the hearts, the hands that break this cycle, one life at a time. In our next video, we'll take a closer look at how this crisis connects to something even deeper in our communities. It's an issue that we can't ignore longer. This isn't just about awareness, it's about action. And understanding what's really happening is the first step. If you want to continue this conversation, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Let's continue this journey together and take the steps we need to build a real change.